clouds up there. There's plenty to pick. There's plenty of clouds out there today. Okay, so devotees, please, if you can, I like to see people. I like rather than speaking to a computer. So if perhaps if you maybe if you can put your cameras on, unless it's really an intense reason why you can't, that would help. Okay, we come devotees are still coming in, so let's delay a little bit before we start officially. Let's offer some prayers to Srila Prabhupada before we begin. Panchatattva Mahamantra and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then we can sing our prayers to the six Goswamis in the beginning of the Nectar of Devotion. Okay, devotees are coming in one by one. Okay, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swam Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Shunya Vahadi Pashtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. And now let's just recite the prayer at the beginning of the Nectar Devotion as is usual. Nana Shastra Vichanene Kenepano Saddama Samstapako Lokanam Hitakaruno Trubhavane Manyan Saranya Karo Radha Krishna Padada Vinda Ajananam Dela Mata Loko Vamde Rupa Sanatana Ragayugo Shri Jiva Gopalago Vamde Rupa Sanatana Ragayugo Shri Jiva Gopalago. And let's read the translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Jai Sat Goswamis Ki Jai. Okay, just as a note, before we begin, we're going to finish today's class a little bit early, probably about 1 o'clock, something like that, and then we're going to have a bit of a open discussion and a Ishtagoshti about how you're going with your slokas and your exams, etc. Because we're coming up to the end of Bhakti Sastri, and the date for completion as far as slokas, etc., is the 25th of June. So we can just have some conversation on that. Okay, little Ishtagoshti on how you're doing and etc. Okay, is that okay with everyone? Hare Krishna, a roar of approval I can see. Hare Krishna. All right, so let me do as we usually do. Famous saying on Zoom, let me share my screen. Okay. Oh, okay, there you go. Happened quicker than usual. All right, so last week we didn't have class because it was the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev. I hope you all had a wonderful festival on that day. But we finished the week before on chapter 9. We didn't quite complete chapter 9. We got to this section, we got this thus far. But what I thought I would do, I'll do a quick flash review of chapter 9, just to remind myself as well, and remind yourselves of what we covered. So at the moment, where Rupa Goswami is taking us through the 64 items of devotional service. So there's lots of different items that are being mentioned by Rupa Goswami. So we mentioned about this in the last class, blasphemy. Anyone wants to ask any quick questions on these as we're flashing through them, you're more than welcome. you can unmute and ask. I, so we are going to go through quick because okay, 3 ways of dealing with such insults. We were recommended go for the first one or the third one, okay? Don't go for the second one. Okay. Tilak and Tulsi beads, very important aspect of our devotional practice as given by Rupa Goswami. Except the flower garlands of the Lord, the Mahaprasad. We all should always be eager to accept that, to respect the Mahaprasad. Dancing before the deities, it's a regulative principle, okay? To dance before the Lord in a beautiful devotional way. Bowing down in honor of the deity. We're familiar with that in our temple culture. And a lot of these points are connected to the temple itself, actually. Okay. Standing up to receive the Lord, Rathayatra, following the deity. They have their Utsav deities or festival deities, which sometimes come out, normally from larger temples. We have Snanyatra coming up soon. We had a meeting about Snanyatra yesterday, so we get ready for that. Very exciting event happening at Develi. Going to the temple. Some of these things will be mentioned more than once, and we'll explain why that is as we go. Going to the temple, circumambulating the temple, Archan, worshipping the Lord. You can be worshipping at home, pictures, or you may have deities, but it's part of our Vaishnava practice. It's part of our sadhana. Yeah, this section, I was looking earlier as well, this section, Bhakti Sastri is just covering the eastern side of the ocean, of the nectar of devotion. Yeah. Rupa Goswami divides it into eastern, southern, western, and northern. So we're on the eastern side, and where this part is called Sadhana Bhakti, the second wave for your interest, okay? The third wave is Bhava Bhakti, and the final wave is Prema. Hopefully we get washed away by Bhava and Prema, okay? If you do sadhana nicely, okay? So Archan is part of rendering service to the Lord, devotional service. Yeah, we're engaged in devotional service. So nice servants should have some service. Yeah. Singing for the Lord is also a regulative principle, glorifying the Lord. Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy names in public as well is very much recommended, as we know. Chanting japa, that's part of our ISKCON culture given to us by Prabhupada for initiated devotees. 64 rounds a day, 16 rounds a day. Okay. And Rupa Goswami elaborated on this more of one's mood, feelingly offering prayers, humbly submitting oneself, or desiring some perfectional stage. And we mentioned these are relevant to different stages of devotional attainment. Mention that. And we had this quote here, and we read this. This is what last thing we read on the last class, that Prabhupada says we should feelingly pray him to become eager to render his particular service to the Lord. This is called lolium. So we should speak to the Lord through prayer. We should call out to the Lord through of course, the Mahamantra, japa. But other than that, also we can pray. And this is where we officially left off on the last class, okay? So again, it's on the same subject, reciting notable prayers. And Prabhupada mentions that as many prayers, as we know, you can read in Srimad Bhagavatam. There's many prayers, so it's good to learn some prayers. Then you can recite those prayers. It's very nice. It's very good practice. It really helps to strengthen the mind so that we can remember Krishna. So it's very much recommended according to our capacity, but we really want to pray to the Lord. You can pray in your own words, but it's very nice to actually learn a set of prayers That's very good practice to do. And that's why it's said here, any person who comes before the deity of Lord Krishna and begins to chant different prayers is immediately relieved of reactions of all sinful activities. Okay? And it's quite significant that every day in temples throughout the world, that deity greeting, most times it's 7 a.m. I think some temples it's 7:30. But there's prayers. Vainam Kwanantam Aravindaya Daya Daksham. We have the prayers from the Brahma Samhita. So that's very significant. This is what we should be doing when we come before the Lord. We should be praying. Yeah. And we can keep this in mind as well. Very feelingly offering prayers and submitting or humbly submitting ourselves towards the Lord. That's good part. Yeah, that's good to type of prayers that one may offer. Again, any questions, please feel free to ask. All right. Vandanam. Yeah, Vandanam is one of the 9 angas of bhakti. Is Vandanam, is offering prayers. So we should want to do that. We should want to communicate with the Lord and seek his blessings through prayer. Okay. All right. And next is taking prashad. Anyone have any problems with taking prashadam? No. I guess we take. I guess we do. I guess we do more of this. It might be that we do more of this than we are than we pray. Prashadam we take every day, but we sing prayers before prashadam. So this is so like if you're a devotee of the Lord or you're aspiring to be a devotee, this is our practice. We only want to eat prashadam that's been offered to the Lord. So this is what devotees do. They respect prashad. It says partaking of prashad. And they were seen Srila Prabhupada, often mostly he would take prashad on his own. Yeah. And be in quite a deep meditation. Yeah. I was I was for the last week or 2 weeks or so, I've made some little adjustments. Trying to, like, when I take prashadam, I'm deliberately not watching Zoom or listening to lectures. I'm trying to meditate because now everyone, when you're taking prashad, especially if you're in your own place, your own space, then you're glued into, you're watching something, hearing something. But Prabhupada never did that. Prabhupada was sit down and be in meditation. Yeah, Purnakashila Prabhu.
Yeah, I was talking to Kesha Swami
Okay.
a month ago. Can you hear me? Or is it
Yes,
not
loud and clear.
working? Yeah, and he said that he was told never to do anything while he was eating prasadam.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so he's like not done. Yeah, so he told me to stop because I used to read like Bhagavad Gita or something when I was eating prasadam. Or, he says no, it's
Yeah.
not allowed to do any of that. So I never knew that. So it was interesting.
Wow. I'm on the same page as Keshav Maharaj. Wow, I'm blessed. Yeah. You could try it. Try it at home. Try it, because we're so used now, most devotees probably, plugged into something while they're eating prashadam. Yeah, such a good.
And
Sorry,
sorry, go.
Purnakashila, finish, yeah.
Yeah, and then a few weeks later, something else happened. When something I cooked, and this wouldn't have happened if I was watching something. I asked myself, did Krishna actually enjoy this when I offered it to him? And that thought never happened to me
Hmm.
for some reason, And so, because I'd always be doing something else. So anyway, so it seemed to have worked. So, Hare Krishna. Sorry, that was my point.
Yeah, very good. I think we tend to be a bit, even in our different activities of bhakti, sometimes we get a little bit passionate. We're doing 3 things at the same time. You may be on the phone, eating prashadam, and watching a class on Zoom, all at the same time. But, it's a little bit, okay, it's all devotional, but at the same time, it's quite indicative of more of the passion. So you could try it. Try it when you offer prashad nicely and also nice, won't go into a whole worship seminar, but it's good that when you offer your prasad to your pictures or you have deities at home, that there's a certain amount of time that you set aside, not just 1 minute. That you let the 5 minutes, it may be 6 minutes, 7 minutes, depends on your situation. What I do presently is I set my alarm or set my timer for like 8 minutes or 7 minutes, you know. Anyway, these are side points. But main thing, take Bashad. Sachi, Kumani, my Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Yes, Prabhu. I was just thinking. I think Purnachandra Prabhu was mentioning
Okay.
about uh, uh, reading while honoring prasadam.
Yeah, you can do that. We used to do that in the temple where someone would read Leela or someone would read Krishna book. Now that's different. Now that particular circumstance, it's good. It can be good. It's a good meditation for everyone. So that can be done as well. But as far as in your own personal space, your own personal time, you might try that. You might do what as Prabhupada did, just respect Prashadam in a very respectful way, in a prayerful way. Pachor Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. As others were saying, His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj also doesn't allow any
Totally.
other noise, or he doesn't even encourage devotees talking amongst themselves while taking prasadam.
Yeah,
But at the same time, he does say that um, there has to be certain level of advancement or maturity in the devotee who for
to
this to
do
be
that.
practiced. So in the new stages, he still encourages that it is good to still hear because minds are not clean or pure enough to actually be meditative.
Yeah. So you can give it a try to see how, if you can try it, see if you can sit down and eat prashadam, and if it's too quiet and it drives you nuts, you can put on a lecture. You can see how far you're doing, how far you're progressing in a sattvic disposition. But thank you for that point, Pachopu. Yeah, anyway, I won't elaborate anymore, take too long, but Hare Krishna. Okay, more devotees are coming in. All right. So partaking of prasad is a very important part of our practice. Okay, drinking Charnamrita, it's all related to the temple mostly, so we're all familiar with that. Taking Charnamrita is that which is directly bathe the Lord. For your interest, the Charnamrita that you see in the temple room, it's directly coming from the bathing of Giri Govardhan and Gaunitai. Yeah, and Jagannath Baladev Subhadra from their bathing trays. Then this Charanamrita is made and mixed with more yogurt, more honey, etc. That's why there's a big volume of it. Okay, but it's very auspicious. There's prayers to say at Bhaktivedanta Mana. They have these nice prayers where the Charanamrita is. So this to take that which is bathe the Lord's lotus feet, smelling incense, flowers. Yeah, that was been offered to the Lord. To smell that, remembering it's been offered to the Lord, and flowers offered to the deity. We have that. We hand the flowers round, isn't it? After the arti, it's kind of a ritual. Then touching the deity. Prabhupada goes into a bit of detail here. Prabhupada, I just read this section here. In India, there was agitation during Gandhi's political movement because the low-born classes of men like street sweepers and chandalas are prohibited, according to the Vedic system, from entering the temple. All right, so that includes us whiteys. Those are not, we come under that chandalas. We're not allowed to enter some temples in India. But Prabhupada continues, due to their unclean habits, they are prohibited. But at the same time, they are given other facilities so they may be elevated to the highest grade of devotional service by the association with pure devotees. Okay, so that's our line. That's from the Panchatrika practices. A man born in any family is not barred, but he must be cleansed. That cleansing process must be adopted. Gandhi wanted to make them clean simply by stamping them with a fictitious name, Harijan, children of God. And so there was a great tug of war between the temple owners and Gandhi's followers. But anyway, the present law is the law of all scripture, that if anyone is purified, he can enter into the temple. Actually, that is the position. Only one who is properly initiated, who is properly following the rules and regulations, can enter and touch the deity. Okay, so that's on the altar. Yeah. And one who touches the body of the deity following such regulative principles is immediately delivered from the contamination of material sins, and all his desires become fulfilled without delay. All right, so perhaps another inspiration to move forward in our devotional practice and receive second initiation. For those who don't, then you can get the opportunity to put your head at the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay? So touching the deity. Again, any questions, comments, please feel free to ask.
Okay.
Yes, please.
How does that apply for, my name's Gunesh. How does that apply for home deities?
Wow, I haven't seen you before, Ganesh.
Yeah, Prabhu, I actually haven't come to one class before this. Sorry, Prabhu.
Oh, wow, your first time.
Yeah.
Welcome. Better late than never, they say.
Yeah. Sorry, Prabhu. We have a program just before this at the temple. So I just rushed home now. So yeah.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, home deities, there's not the same rules
Mm.
as in the temple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Home deities, they're more there, although it's the Supreme Lord, he's more there, he's coming there as a guest in one sense. So your timings of offering boga it should be regulated, but it may change. But yeah, we're speaking about temple worship here. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
It's okay. Go ahead and touch the lotus feet of Gaunitai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Okay, so touching the deity, seeing the deity, okay? You come, that's good. That's a good reason to come to the temple, apart from taking prashadam. You come to take darshan of the deity, or to let the Lord to see you. Some devotees describe it like that. Who is taking darshan? Yeah. Meditation. So that's a very important point, aspect of bhakti. As we know, we're worshipping a person, the supreme person, the most beautiful person, the original person, the perfect person, and he's manifested in the form of the Archa Vigraha with full potencies. So it's very purifying to actually take darshan of the Lord. And one of my favorite activities in the temple is to chant japa and watch people come, one after the other, taking darshan of the Lord, praying, all in different moods, but all in such respect and adoration. They come. Some the tears are coming from their eyes, maybe because of various things going on in their life. But it's coming before the deity. It's part of, it's entwined in the Hindu culture and dharma. Go to take darshan. So in our temple, we have so many people come, and also Bhaktivedanta. So come to take darshan of the Lord. Okay. And this quote here, my dear Vashundara, this is from the Raha Purana. Any person who goes to Vrindavan or goes to Soho Street, okay, to see the deity of Govinda Dev is free from the courthouse of Yamaraj and is allowed to enter the higher planetary system. Great. You don't even have to go to court to be judged. You don't have to go to court to be judged by Yama. You can avoid the court system and go straight back if you complete the process of the bhakti. Okay. So then last slide in this chapter, observing arti, celebrations of the Lord. So you get the same benefit. If you see the arti, you get the same benefit as the person offering the arti. Okay. So that's why pujaris, they stand in such a way that they can be seen by those coming into the temple, because they get the same benefit. So it's very good. So that means you're taking part in deity worship as well. Even if you don't have deities at home, just by coming to the temple and seeing the arti means you are engaged in archan. You're actually worshipping the deity by watching the arti. Yeah, the different celebrations of the Lord. Okay, so that completes chapter 9. Hare Krishna. So let me stop sharing and bring up chapter 10. It might take me fiddling around for a few. Let's see how quick I can do it. Hare Krishna. I'm not doing well. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay, getting closer. Share screen. Portion of screen, share. Okay, so chapter 10, techniques for hearing and remembering, Shravanam Kirtanam, very important aspect of our devotional development, in how to hear, and Smaranam as well, how to remember the Lord within the cranium, within our mind, Yeah. So specifically, this chapter is dealing with the scriptural evidences for Angas 43 to 46. If you want to, if you're interested in that detail, 43 to 46. So specifically, very important points: hearing, expecting the Lord's mercy as well. Rupa Goswami is focusing on that. Smaranam and meditating. So what role does meditation play in our devotional development? It plays a very important one. So Rupa Goswami is going to spend and Prabhupada consequently is hearing about this. Now there's different types of hearing. Nam Shravana, that's to hear the holy name of the Lord. Yeah, so that we are practitioners of, to hear the holy name. And also, but not just to hear the holy name. In one sense, the holy name is non-different from Krishna's pastimes, but that takes some purification and some advancement to come to that stage to realize that in the process of Nam Shravana. But even when you are purified through Nam Shravana, to actually remember the pastimes, you're going to remember those pastimes that you have heard or read about. So we also want to hear Charita Shravana. We want to hear about the pastimes of Krishna. Why? So we can do Smaran. So we can remember Krishna. If you don't hear about Krishna, you ain't going to remember him. Okay? If you hear and spend. So we want to, in our sadhana, we want to include that. That's why we have 10th canto, the largest. We have Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we have 80 chapters, which is all about, or 83 chapters, which is about Charita Shravana, hear about Krishna's pastimes. And it's unlimited, wonderful, beautiful pastimes that Krishna has, which we have the Krishna book as well. Yeah. So we want to hear about the pastimes of Krishna. And following on from that, Gunadi Shravana, to hear about the qualities. Now, the qualities of Krishna is going to be described. So we finish on chapter 19 in this study of Bhakti Sastri. The qualities of Krishna start in chapter 20. So sorry about that. Bhakti Sastri is only going up to chapter 19. Then part 2 is the qualities of Krishna. But please, you can read that in your own time. We have a separate course just on the rest of the Nectar of Devotion, actually, which we run sometimes. But the point here is that we want to be able to speak about Krishna. We want to be able to remember Krishna. And here it's mentioned about his qualities again, etc. of Krishna. Yeah. So we want to read, we want to hear about this, Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Yes. That is what is going to elevate us actually in our spiritual practice. It's this point, hearing. Yeah, the name, the pastimes, and the qualities. So you want to include that in your sadhana. Yeah. If you can do every day, you can read a little bit about Krishna, that's fine. That will be wonderful. You may be reading Bhagavad Gita at the present moment. That's wonderful. But also you can practice reading Krishna book. In the early days, that was a regular practice in temples, that they would all read Krishna book at night with a cup of hot milk. Yeah. So Prabhupada would say in that way you can sleep and you can dream of Krishna. Yeah. Okay. So very important. We want to make sure we're doing that. We got, hopefully all of us here have a regular daily sadhana, which we're practicing, whether you're at college or your work or whatever situation. It's vital that every day we're chanting the holy name. Some of you made vows to do that, so that's wonderful. But also to hear about the pastimes. All right, so you'll be amazed how sometimes devotees can forget to do that. To hear about what Krishna actually does. And the amount of bliss, the amount of happiness that comes from absorbing your mind in Krishna's pastimes, etc., and qualities is incalculable. Yeah, you're actually associating with Krishna then. Yeah, and that's where the purification comes from. So hearing, Nam Shravana, Charita Shravana, Gunadi Shravana. Prabhupada says, this hearing is very important for progressing in Krishna consciousness. One who links his ears, got this, to give oral reception to the transcendental vibrations, can quickly become purified and cleansed in heart. It's as simple as that. The more you hear about Krishna, the more you're going to make advancement. The less you hear about him, the less you're going to make advancement. Yeah, the more you hear about him, the more you're going to get attached to him. The less you hear about him, the less you're going to be attached to him. The choice lies with you. Okay, so we want to arrange our day in such a way that we get a good dose of hearing. Nasta preshu patreshu nityam bhagavad sevaya. Yeah, morning class or in the evening, depends on your situation. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments, please shout out. Please feel free to ask. Hopefully we're familiar with this basic principle of what it means to be a Hare Krishna. Yeah, it means to hear about Krishna. Yeah. Yeah, life can be quite passionate, isn't it? There's so many things to do and it can be quite busy that sometimes it might be difficult to find the time, but we should want to make the time. Yeah. Well, I think now these are going to, okay, I've been elaborating on these, but they're elaborated here. Anyway, so Nam Shravana. Someone would like to read? We get devotees, you can share up the reading. Someone could read this slide here. Nam Shravana.
The state of conditioned life in the material world is just like that of a man lying unconscious, having been bitten by a snake. This is because both such unconscious states can be ended by the sound of a mantra.
Yeah, the wonderful example that's given here by Rupa Goswami, and Prabhupada also speaks of it. Yeah. He mentions that, as mentioned here, like a materialistic man is bitten by the snake of Maya, illusion. Yeah. And without any Krishna consciousness, one is more or less dead. Yeah. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but there is mantras that mystics or persons chant, which can alleviate the poison of a snake. Has anyone seen that in India, where someone comes and chants a mantra? No, I've never seen it. I think, but I'm not. I'm sure there is. I'm sure it's possible because it's mentioned here. Yeah. But anyway, the point is here is that so the example in the same way that in bitten by Maya, more or less everyone is unconscious of the real self and the real purpose of life. But by hearing, Prabhupada mentions, by hearing the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we can be brought back to life. Hare Bol. We can breathe, we're free. The snake bite of Maya. Yeah. So nice example given. Yeah. Nam Shravana. And someone else could read this, Charita Shravana. This is, go back, this is to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. Yes.
I'll read that, Prabhu.
Go ahead. Yeah.
My dear king, one should stay at a place where the great acharyas, holy teachers, speak about the transcendental activities of the Lord, and one should give oral reception to the nectarian river flowing from the moonlight faces of such great personalities. If someone eagerly continues to hear such transcendental sounds, then certainly he will become freed from all material hunger, thirst, fear, and lamentation, as well as all illusions of material existence.
Okay. So you should hear the nectarian river of Krishna Katha flowing from the moonlight faces of such great personalities of the devout, those who are tasting, those who are relishing Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. They're relishing it. When it comes from their heart, on their tongue as sound vibration, then we can also perceive it as well. We can also be very much purified. Charita Shravana. Yeah. And Prabhupada, this quote is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, Text 40, for your interest. So Prabhupada refers to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there in the Nectar Devotion. As you know, Lord Chaitanya recommends that hearing is a means for self-realization in this age, and specifically hearing about Krishna. Yeah. And Prabhupada mentions here, it is in this age, it is very difficult to follow thoroughly the regulative principles, not just the four, but there's hundreds of regulative principles as far as society and Varnashram is concerned. So it's very difficult to follow all the principles and study all the Vedas, which were formerly recommended, just reading directly here from Nectar of Devotion. However, if one gives oral reception to the sound vibrated by great devotees, so although it's about Charita Shravana, we're hearing the importance of who to hear Charita Shravana from, great devotees. That's enough to relieve us from material contamination. Yeah. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommend that we hear from authorities, meaning that we don't want to hear from, Prabhupada mentioned this many times, from those who make a profession of recital of Bhagavatam. Yeah. Hearing from professional men will not help. Those are not devoted. Those whose hearts are not devoted. Those are not devoted to the Lord. We should not want to hear from them, even if they're reciting Bhagavatam. Yeah. Yeah, if we hear, we should hear, Prabhupada says, we should hear from those who are actually self-realized. Then the nectarian rivers, like those which are flowing on the moon planet, okay, so there's rivers of nectar on the moon planet, will flow into our ears. Yeah, well, we want it to flow into our ears. So by hearing about Krishna, then we can associate with Krishna. Okay? And then Prabhupada also speaks, let me read this part here. When Krishna speaks on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to the materialistic person, it appears that this is simply talk between two friends. But actually, it is a river of nectar. So Prabhupada is playing on the verse here, flowing down from the mouth of Sri Krishna. Arjuna gave all reception to such vibrations and thus became freed from all the illusions of material problems. Now, Arjuna had some big problems when he was faced with the prospect of fighting. But by hearing from Krishna, it's like a mist rising upon the rising of the sun. Yeah, he was free from all illusion. Then he was ready to do his duty and fight. So we're often illusioned as well of what to do in this world. So we want to hear about Krishna. And then Gunadi Shravana, this is the qualities of the Lord, okay? Someone would like to read this one? Gunadi Shravana. Yes, go ahead, Vineshwu. Thank you.
A person who desires unalloyed devotional service to Lord Krishna, who is praised by transcendental sound vibrations, should always hear about his glorification and transcendental qualities. This will surely kill all kinds of inauspiciousness in the heart.
Yeah. So if this has captured your imagination, you really want to hear about the type of guy Krishna is, what's his qualities, then you can go after today's class, you can go to chapter 20, 21 of the Nectar Devotion. And there Rupa Goswami, he gives 64 qualities of Krishna. Krishna has millions of wonderful qualities, but he gives 64 specifically there. Okay, so you can read about that. And very, very wonderful to read. Okay. Okay, now this one, the next one, this is a well-known verse. This is from Lord Brahma. I can just read this to begin with. A nice verse to learn. A prayer of Lord Brahma to Krishna. Tatenu kompam shushikshamano punjana eva atmam kritam pipakam hrit vag vapupi vitadan namaste jiviti yo mukti pade sadayabak. Okay. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So, quote from the 10th Canto, chapter 14, text 8. So this important verse that's quoted here by Rupa Goswami, and Prabhupada mentions that this should be the guide of all devotees. Yeah, because you probably have noticed, okay, you've all taken up devotional service, but still we have to face the stresses and strains of this material world. And it may be that actually it's not expected that immediately we're going to be free from all the reactions of our past deeds in this world. Yeah. It's called prapta karma. Yeah. Until we come to the stage of bhava, where all our subtle and gross attachments are cut, we're going to have to go through seemingly what the materialistic person goes through. Setbacks, diseases, etc. Yeah. As we may have noticed, sometimes devotees die in car crashes. Yeah? Sometimes devotees die of cancer, etc., etc. Sometimes devotees get robbed. Sometimes devotees get cheated. Yeah, and devotees go through a lot. But there's a big difference between them and the non-devotees. And this is the difference. Yeah, it's been mentioned here. Yeah. Despite going through all the difficulties in this world, they see it as, actually, my Lord, you are very kind upon me. I deserve worse. Yeah. Not so easy, but it's something we want to cultivate. The next time we're in the thick of it, so to speak, and we're in a very difficult situation, you can meditate upon this verse and then turn your heart inwards and pray to the Lord in this mood. My Lord, you are so kind. I'm such a wretch. I deserve a lot worse than this. Okay? So this is somewhat of an advanced devotee. You could say this is the mark of a saint. Yeah? Where despite the difficulty, they are not blaming the persons who are bringing the difficulty. Yeah? And they continue. We don't doubt the Lord. We don't doubt what is happening. Whatever is happening, I've got no idea why it's happening, but it's Krishna's doing it for my sake. I would like to know why, but for the moment, I can't understand why. But I know the Lord controls everything. Yeah. So therefore, the Lord has arranged this for my own purification. It may be I'm so proud that Krishna is helping me by becoming humble, by giving me this situation. Yeah, Purnika Sharpa, you had your hand raised. Did I see it flash up there?
Yeah, I was just gonna. I mean, it's a question that's very difficult to answer, I guess. But obviously, the purer you do japa, I'm just thinking out loud. The purer you do japa, it's obviously absorbing some of your bad karma, right? As you're doing japa in a purer and purer state.
Not just japa, but taking Charnamrita, all the things that you mentioned, wearing garlands, seeing the deity form of the Lord, etc. It's all purifying us. But go on, carry on.
Yeah, so if we the other way around of looking at it simply is that if we're still getting a bad reaction after all that, then we must have done something pretty horrible. So we should sort of really humble ourselves, right?
Yeah, you can look at it like that. Or also it might be the Lord's specific arrangement. It's called Krishna karma. At the point of giving our lives over to Krishna in a heartfelt way, Krishna is going to imagine our karma in such a way. The main thing that Krishna wants to achieve, he wants to achieve between now and when we leave this world, he wants us to have no attachments. So there's a few things got to happen in our life for that to happen.
Yeah.
Krishna's going to, arrange things in a certain way that we're going to learn to be detached. Yeah. That's Krishna's kindness. It can be a whole big subject in of itself, and just expanding on it a bit more. So devotees see it as Krishna's kindness. But there's a nice meditation. My Lord, I must have been such a wretch. What I have done. So this is the mood of someone who's devoted to God. They have a very humble disposition. And there's many accounts of this, not just in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, but in Christianity as well. Like that, of persons who are thanking the Lord for their difficult situations. Vipadu Santuta Shashvat, Queen Kunti prays. My Lord, let the calamities happen again and again.
I suppose if we get too comfortable here, then the whole point of the material energy is not doing its job to get us back. So we want to kind of, we want to be Krishna. Krishna's not being kind to us if we're sort of enjoying ourselves too much here, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That's why because we don't want to stay here, so we don't want to be attached to this place of birth and death, So yes. But again, at the same time, we should also understand that Krishna is very kind to his devotees. So it doesn't mean if you're a devotee, you're going to have a horrific, intense experience throughout your whole life. It's not exactly like that. Krishna's he's very kind to his devotees, so you'll find your material life somehow or another, things will start to fall in place, and you've got a place, you've got a situation. That's all Krishna's kindness. He's not going to strip us away completely, because that he does for some, but very special cases, he may take away everything, but not devotees in general. So, at the same time as we're creating a picture of the difficulties we have to go through in this world, we have the association of devotees. We learn about how to live in the world to lessen the suffering we have to go through. We're otherwise living in a mode of goodness, associating with good people, hearing good things, keeping ourselves away from things that will degrade us. And that in of itself is going to make the journey somewhat much more better and easier. But we don't want to get caught up as well in a mode of goodness. That's a problem with devotees, where they're living their life. They're waking up early, they're clean, they're regulated, they're dharmic, etc. So life is like good. Maybe then there's no push to get out of the cycle of birth and death. So if we get too attached to the mode of good, that's the story of Narada Muni as well, when Krishna appeared to him and said, I will not appear again. You still got, because you're still some contamination. That was contaminations constitutes of the mode of goodness. So that we should keep, that's also there as well. So just not to scare anyone away from devotional service. If you take up devotional service, you're going to go through hell.
I can't remember. Is that before he was reborn, or was that?
Yeah, that was when he was when his mother got
But
bitten
the snake bite,
and he went touring and he sat down for meditation.
Yep.
The whole story. But let's get back to this main point. Let me read something from Prabhupada here. A devotee who is not perfectly free from the reactions should therefore continue to act in Krishna consciousness. So that's us. We're not perfectly free from resultant reactions. So what do? We continue to act in Krishna consciousness, seriously. Even though there may be so many impediments, when such impediments arise, he should simply think of Krishna and expect his mercy. That is the only solace. If a devotee passes his days in this spirit, it is certain that he is going to be promoted to the abode of the Lord. It is certain. By such activities, he earns his claim. He earns his inheritance to enter in the kingdom of God. The exact word used in this verse is Dayabak. Dayabak refers to a son's becoming the lawful inheritor of the property of the father. In a similar way, a pure devotee who is prepared to undergo all kinds of tribulations in executing Krishna conscious duties becomes lawfully qualified to enter into the transcendental abode. Okay? So we are apprentices wanting to become pure devotees. So now you're hearing about how devotees think. So you can try this at home as homework. What does a pure soul think when they're in difficulty in this world? This is how they think. So we can try it, Try it at home, Any other questions about that? Comments? Okay. This is a relatively short chapter. A couple more slides left. Remembrance. Someone could read this for us here from the Vishnu Purana. Yeah, go ahead. That was enthusiastic. Hare Krishna. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Simply by remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities become eligible for all kinds of auspiciousness. Therefore, let me always remember the Lord who is unborn and eternal.
Yeah. So remembrance, smaranam, and then meditation. So smriti and dhyanam. There's different levels of meditation on Krishna up to the point of samadhi. Jnana, anusmriti, and then samadhi. Yep. So these two items, specifically Rupa Goswami is given a bit of detail here. Smriti, that means think of Krishna in a general way. But then you have dhyanam, and then following that you have anushmriti, and then you have samadhi. So that's a deeper contemplation. For devotees such practiced and purified in chanting the holy name, they are meditating on Krishna's name, which then flowers and expands as his form, his qualities, and his pastimes. And devotees are studying that within their smaran. And there's different levels of that as well. There's mantra siddhi, and there's what's another one? Mantra upasana. That's where one's meditating on a beatific form of Krishna. Then there's another one where one's meditating on Krishna's pastimes throughout the day. Astakaliya smaran, practiced by advanced devotees. Yeah. But the point here is, so two, smriti dhyanam. So what are you going to meditate upon in deeper contemplation? What you've read. If you've read about Krishna's qualities, you can, according to your adhikar, you may meditate on them in a deep way. That means you're deeply relishing particular qualities of form or pastimes of Krishna. That's what the Goswamis were doing. And then what was revealed to them, they would write. Yeah? They would write what they saw in their samadhi bhajan. Yeah. Okay. So some way or other, if someone establishes his mind in continuous reading here, relationship with Krishna, this relationship is called remembrance. All right. What's that? We should always remember Krishna, and what comes next?
Never forget him.
Never forget him. Correct, Mother Lisa. Yeah, never forget him. It's definitely easier said than done. The whole material world is a distraction from Krishna, you know. But we try at least once a day. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says actually it's not possible for a sadhaka to remember Krishna all day, but at least once a day, at least once or twice a day, let's meditate upon Krishna. Yeah. So it's important practice for Vaishnavas, general remembrance, and then very specific, very a deep meditation as well. Okay. Normally, devotees smaranam is done during japa. Yeah. It's always accompanied by japa. If you meditate on Krishna's form, qualities, and pastimes, it's never separate from japa because he is non-different from his name. Okay. So introducing different aspects here. So remembrance. And there's meditation. I've been going on about meditation. There's a slide for it here. This is a beautiful outfit of Londonishwar. It's quite simple. It's called Autumn Berries. Okay. The next time you see this outfit, you can say, I know this outfit. It's called Autumn Berries. Yeah, you can see by the colors. Anyway. Okay. Let me read a bit from here. To meditate means to engage the mind. Let me read the verse. Meditation, focusing on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has been accepted as transcendental and beyond the experience of material pain and pleasure. By such meditation, even one who is grossly miscreant can be delivered from the sinful reactions of life. Okay? So you could try that. Sometimes we're really going through it. We may be in pain, yeah? Great difficulty, or maybe getting intoxicated by so-called material pleasure and feel yourself being attracted away from Krishna. So just close your eyes and meditate upon the Lord's lotus feet and chant the holy name. Bring your mind upon the Lord, you know. And then Krishna will give you shelter. Yeah. If you go to Krishna, Krishna is there to give you shelter. If you don't go to him, he won't be there. But if you go to him by you yourself meditating upon him through the holy name, he will give you shelter. Yeah. So to meditate means to engage the mind in thinking of the form of the Lord, qualities and activities of the Lord, and the service of the Lord. So your own specific serving the Lord. Meditation does not mean anything impersonal or void. Okay, so we're all aware of that by now. Anyone who's read Prabhupada's books, we're very familiar. According to Vedic literature, meditation is always on the form of Vishnu. There is no prescription for impersonal meditation in the bona fide Vedas. Purnakishore Prabhu, have your hand raised.
Yeah, just a quick question. I don't think you don't have to answer. When you do japa, do you actually meditate on the form of the Lord or the feet, or do you just listen to the sound?
Yeah, just stage one. You want to listen to the sound vibration of the holy name and be able to do that for 16 rounds with great pleasure, without no difficulty. First stage. Yeah. So, okay, if Krishna's qualities or form comes into mind, that's wonderful. But don't forget, the main point for you, the main point for us is to be able to hear the holy name. Yeah. 16 rounds for 2 hours. That's what we want to develop, that ability to hear the holy name. Yeah. And you can, if you want, you can have little adventures sometimes. You can, close your eyes, and while you're chanting and the mantra is very clear still, you can meditate upon the picture or the Lord's lotus feet, But you find because we perhaps don't have the adhikar, it would be very difficult to maintain that in a prolonged, deep way, you know? And it becoming more from ourselves, you know, we are mentally picturing that form of the Lord using our own mental ability. So it's that's a different experience when a name is opening up like a flower and is showing you his form. But we can try it. We can do that. But main point here is that we want to learn to chant 16 rounds. And so we can chant, so it's pleasurable. So it's not an effort. Yeah. And then other stages come later. Did it help, Monica Shopper?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, yeah, probably. Thank you. That's basically.
Yeah, we just finished a whole little course on this with some devotees called The Holy Name, A Roadmap to Love, all these different stages of chanting. It's an interesting subject. Okay, so yeah, and yeah, there's, you know, I think Prabhupada includes, I've just got in notes, it's got Story of the Brahmana. I haven't got opened up to the page in Nectar Devotion. But yeah, I think this is here, it's this part where anyone knows what story is going to be mentioned, the story of a Brahmana as far as remembrance?
One who cooks sweet rice in dreams or in mind.
Yeah, you can take us through that story briefly, Pachur Prabhu.
I'll try to remember the best I can.
Yeah.
There was a Brahmana, and naturally Brahmanas are poor because of the curse of Lakshmi ji. So he used to do all his morning duties, taking bath and getting ready, and then he didn't really have means to do anything, to like opulences to do anything in service of the Lord. So for the rest of it, he used to just sit and meditate that he's serving the Lord in the most opulent ways, because in mind there is no limit, and that's how he used to meditate. And this meditation went on for many years, to the point he became old. In his old age, after long years of serving the Lord in his mind, he was preparing sweet rice for the Lord, and then he wanted to make the offering, but he wanted to make sure that sweet rice is not very hot, because we can't offer something very boiling hot to the Lord. So he, in his mind, he tried to put a finger to check whether the sweet rice is hot or not, and his actual finger got burnt, and then his meditation broke. And this story is told that how Lord is reciprocating even when we are offering our services in the mind. This is called Mansik Puja.
Yeah, thank you. Very nice. And here's a picture of it here. And you see in this picture, there's the Lord comes, you know, he sees this Brahmana. He's been doing this sadhana for his whole life, this elaborate meditation on cooking for Krishna, serving Krishna. That when he sees this, he smiles in Vaikuntha, you know, and then he says, okay, that's it. Let's bring this person back to Vaikuntha. So immediately the Lord comes and takes him back to Vaikuntha. Yeah. Another story in this regard is Mother Jamuna. She was the first head pujari for Londonishvara, Radha Londonishvara. And I heard that in the beginning days, the Lord didn't have many outfits at all. He just had one or two. So they would change them once a week or something like that. But Prabhupada said that every day she should dress the Lord in her mind. So that's what she would do. And then at a certain time in the morning, all the devotees would gather, and then Mother Yamuna would, in great detail, explain how she's dressed them. And that was going on. I don't know how long that went on for. So you understand? She was doing it all in her mind. Yeah. So she'd take about the colors and the style of the outfit and the jewelry and the crown and the turban. She would take them through with how she addressed them in her mind. And that is not, so you can try that. Just try to do that within your mind. Close your eyes and try and dress the Lord or offer arti. It takes a bit of it takes a bit of purification and it is not so easy. The mind, as you know, is so restless. But anyway, main point here. she was absorbed in meditation. Okay. Any other questions on this? So we've gone through this. Techniques of hearing and remembering and expecting the Lord's mercy, hearing about his form, qualities, etc. Okay? All right. So we're going to pull up now chapter 11. So again, it's going to pull it up here.
Just a small point on
Please, yeah, while I'm filling around here.
on the Mansik Puja. I don't know where Prabhupada mentions it, or I heard it when someone was telling the story, but this is for things that you are not able to do, but you have the desire to do. Not that you are in the capacity to do something and still you are doing mentally and not actually. For example, you can go to Mangalarti, but you just go in your mind and not actually attempt to go to Mangalarti. It's for those days where you may not be able to go because of sickness or something, and still out of earnestness, you complete it in your mind.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that out, Pachopu. It's called, technically it's called replacement, and it's used a lot in Achan, where you may not have scented flowers, you may not have the best means or the best things to offer the Lord. So what you do, you within your mind, just as this Brahman did, you can picture a great big offering with all flowers from Vaikuntha, etc. So, but also, as Pachol said, it might be that you're, for one reason or another, you may not be able to do your seva, which you normally do. So you might do that in your mind. Like some devotees, they have Shalagram Shila, and when they're traveling, they're not always able to do the puja. So then they may do the puja within their mind. It's called replacement. And even there's 16 items of worship that you offer the Lord in puja. And you can do that you can offer him all 16 items, even to a picture, just by using an Achman cup. Now you take an Achman spoon with water and you offer idam asanam, idam swagatam, etat padyam, agyam achamaniam, like that. You offer all 16 items. Clothes. So just through that replacement, you dressed, you bathed the Lord, you dressed the Lord, etc. And some Brahmins do that who are living on, they will offer Krishna all 16 items just with the means of replacement through meditation, and the Lord accepts it. Okay? So thank you for bringing that out, Pachopuru. Okay, did I get that right? The last chapter was chapter 10, so this is chapter 11. Yeah, I haven't skipped the chapter, have I? No. Hare Krishna. Okay, so yeah, good job I got these chapters ready earlier today, because I guess we might get through a little bit quick. It's this listing of things. All right, so chapter 11. So this chapter is going to describe the last and most advanced of the 9 main processes of devotional service. So we have Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam. How does it go? How does it begin? The 9 angas of devotion: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smara, Parasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Okay, so we have these Nava Anga. These are given by Prahlad Maharaj, who, when his father asked him, what did you learn today? Then Prahlad said, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Achanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. His father wasn't very happy. So those 9 aspects, that's the practice of a pure devotee. This is what they do. Yeah, this is these 9 items. So this chapter describes the most advanced of these 9 angas, and that's Dasyam, Shakyam, and Atmanivedanam. Okay, so we'll look at that. Time check, 11:39. We'll stop at 12, yeah, for a little break. Everyone still with us? Yes. So we've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 cameras on. That's good. Hare Krishna. Okay, thumbs up from Punika Shaw. Okay, everyone's still with us. Okay, great. So, Dasyam. Okay, just read here. Dasyam Atmanivedanam. Prescribe duties according to one's nature, offered to that Lord become Bhagavat Dharma. What to speak then of actions dedicated to the Lord alone. All right, so this Rupa Goswami and also Jiva Goswami and Prabhupada, they elaborate here, they give a few details here, and this verse is hinting on some of the discussion. So it's bringing up a bit of a controversy or a bit of a misunderstanding, because some people are of the opinion that the activities that you do in regards to Varna ashram is enough. And that's considered to be acting in the mood of dasyam to the Supreme Lord. Service to country is service to God. You heard that before? Service to man is service to God. So that is my service to God. But Vaishnavacharyas, they explain it differently. It actually means constant engagement in some type of specific service to the Lord. Specific service to the Lord directly. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Yeah? So Rupa Goswami is bringing this out because, again, he's telling us what is pure devotional service. So pure devotional service does not mean feeding homeless people. Okay. Okay, if it's prashadam, it's all right, it's something different. But it doesn't mean just philanthropic work. That doesn't come under Uttama Bhakti. It doesn't come into our Anyabhalasta Sunyam, Gyana Kamari Anavritam, Anukulyena, Silanam Bhakti Uttama. Yeah. So that's why this verse here, is mentioned. So those who are attached, they're attached to Karma Kanda. Yeah. They're attached to the system of Varna and Ashram. Okay, we utilize it. Yeah. But for them, that is all in all. Yeah. So for some people, that is all in all. So that doesn't exactly fit under the term of dasyam. Okay. Now, when devotees are engaged in actually offering service to the Lord directly, these are known as Bhagavatas. Rupa Goswami calls they are Bhagavatas, and they are pure devotees. Yeah, those who engage in direct devotional service of the Lord, as we have already mentioned in this whole section on sadhana bhakti. Yeah. Now, those who are engaged in fruitive activity and they're offering the results to the God, to the Lord, because they're offering their life or their activities in some sense with an understanding from one perspective that they're serving God, you may look at them as devotees, but not Bhagavatas, according to Rupa Goswami, or not pure devotees. Okay? Is that clear for everyone? Yeah? So sometimes it's a misunderstanding. Yeah, I'm serving man, I'm serving Bhagavan. Serving man is serving God. One sense, yes, but in the big sense, no. Serving God means, as we're familiar with in our Krishna conscious society. Purnika Prabhu?
Yeah, but a lot of people in our movement, they're sort of hybrid between these two, aren't they? They do some daily job and then they give some offering, and then, but at the same time they're organising Sankirtan or whatever. So where does that leave them? Are they semi-Bhagavatas or?
Yes, I like the word you use.
What are they then?
Hybrid. You get hybrid cars and hybrid. you get hybrid between Bhagavat and devotee. Yeah. What type of devotee are you? Well, I'm a hybrid. No, that's a fact. I mean, now let's not misunderstand this. You got devotees who accepted Diksha and are on the path of pure devotional service, but they're engaged in doing things in this world and organizing, and they may be charitable and they may be this and that, That's a bit different. They've accepted the path of pure devotion and they're practicing the 9 angas of bhakti, and they're sadhakas. They have specific rounds they're chanting, and they understand about principles of Uttama bhakti. It's very clear to them. But they're in the world, they're in society, and they may also engage in some aspects of fruitive work. But they understand that that's not going to take me back to Godhead. To take me back to Godhead is chanting the Lord's holy name. Yeah. And devotees may do charitable things in order to set the right example as well. Yeah, it may be also in order, yeah. So that's nice point you brought out, Pundakashore. So there is a bit of when we're speaking about devotees who understand pure devotion, on the path of pure devotion, they may sometimes seem to engage in fruitive activities. Yeah. But they're
I was mainly remembering, sorry.
Yeah. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, I was mainly remembering our Bhakti Sastri discussion of chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, how you go from karma yoga, it sucks you into a further and further purified state till you get to that ideal situation where you're thinking about Krishna all the time. I think that's the start of the chapter 12. Krishna says you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, do this. And then if you can't even do that, do that. And that's what made me think about this.
Yeah, so very good point. Very good cross-reference as well. I could have well put some verses here from Bhagavad Gita on that point, chapter 12. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, so there may be, yeah, as exactly as Purnakashore is saying, some may not be ready for the process of pure devotion. Yeah. So therefore, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, at least do something pious, man. If you can't think about Krishna, then do sadhana. If you can't do sadhana, then work for Krishna. If you can't work for Krishna, give some fruits of your work to Krishna. If you can't do that, then give something to someone. Even Prabhupada says, take up military service in the purple. Do something outside of the self, and that will set you in good stead for at some point taking up the path of Bhagavad Dharma. Yeah.
But we should always be pushing ourselves, right, to go further, right? Not staying in karma. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we should understand that everyone here, we are practicing the path of the Bhagavats. We are practicing pure devotional. So we may not be pure, but our intent. So we're on that path. We don't need to. We don't need to engage in fruitive activities on the material platform. We've already been given the path of pure devotion by Prabhupada. And life is very short. Life is very short, so we don't want to get distracted by the path of karma kanda. We want to engage directly in the path of pure devotional service. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking these annoying questions, I'm doing running a Bhakti Rickshaw group. I get these kind of questions all the time.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I want to be 100% sure that I'm not giving the wrong answers on these topics. So these come up quite a lot. So yeah.
It's good to know. It's good to be educated in these different levels of application, because sometimes you're going to meet people. Okay, they're pious. They kind of have some attraction, but they're not ready for the 4 regulative principles. They're not ready for the activities of the bhakti. But so then you might advise them, okay, yeah, you're a charitable person, great, wonderful, keep it up. They're giving charity somewhere, or they're doing some charitable works. So you're going to want to encourage them, and then gradually, as they become, through your association, you may be able to introduce them more to more direct practices of bhakti. So it depends on who you're speaking to and who you're preaching to. But don't forget, we want, we don't want to, we want to bring them to the path of pure devotional practice, some point, if we see an inroad or a possibility. So, okay?
Yeah. So just one final point in this. I know we've
Yeah.
taken a. So as you go further along that process, your dependency on the Lord is increasing, and you're kind of mentally speculating that I can control, do karma yoga, I can go to work, do something for Krishna. Is that decreasing, and then you're kind of going, no, Krishna's going to look after me. I need to do more bhakti.
No,
is that sometimes the kind of thing that's.
No, we just concentrate on the practice of bhakti yoga. I mean that's what we concentrate on, the path of bhakti yoga and pure devotional service. But then, of course, because we're in the world and we have to work, so we do that and we work. But our actually focus is on Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smara Pada Sevanam. That's our focus. We're not thinking, okay, let me do some karma yoga now. Let me do it. No, we're just, everything we're doing can be directly linked to the development of Krishna consciousness, if we have that transcendental knowledge of how it's done. This path of karma is for those who don't understand the principles, as you're mentioning, of complete dependence upon the Lord. Okay.
Yeah. That's very useful, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, everyone's still with us there? We didn't lose anyone? No, everyone's still here. There's 5,000 people tuned in. Perhaps not 5,000. Hare Krishna. Okay, what's the time? 11:52. We've got 8 minutes before I have a little break. Okay, so then there's two aspects of dasyam that's going to be described now. And they are kamapanam and kainkaram. Kamapanam and kainkaram. Yeah. So kamapanam, offering one's activities to the Lord. And the other one, serving in the mood of a personal servant, a personal attendant. Yeah. Now this first one, kamapanam, has somewhat on the subject we just discussed. This is further divided into two subdivisions. Perhaps I should have put it on the slide. So number one is further divided into two subdivisions. Kamapanam. One is offering the fruits of one's prescribed duties in Varnashram. Yeah. Actually, I've just been speaking about this. I should have perhaps gone to this slide. And two, offering direct service within the 9 main principles of devotional service. So I was just speaking about those. Yeah. And here's the name of those: Kamapanam and Kainkaram. So as we mentioned already, some accept both these subdivisions of dasyam as forms of devotional service in sadhana, but our acharyas do not. Yeah. So as we mentioned already, our pure devotional service must be free from material desire. Anyabhalasta sunyam jnana kamara anavritam. Yeah. So I'm just more or less repeating. I should have gone to this slide, but it's good. Yeah. Okay. So this is what these two terms are called, what we're speaking about. Kamapanam, and so we just spoke about kamapanam. Now kainkaram. Let's see what this. So back here to kamapanam. No, let's see. No. Let me just read it. Work performed as an offering to me without consideration. Okay, it's not of the fruit is considered to be in the mode of goodness. Work performed with a desire to enjoy the results is in the mood of passion. And work impelled by violence and envy is in the mode of ignorance. Yeah. Another way to describe it is that ordinary work performed as an offering to God without the desire for the result, that's the mode of goodness. Yeah. Your work is an offering. You're not attached to result. That's the mode of goodness. Whereas activities of devotion, Shravanam, Kirtanam, are transcendental forms of work beyond the mode of nature. So it's beyond the modes of nature. It's beyond Varnashram. Okay? Right? Now, Kankaram, this means serving in the mood of a personal attendant. Yeah. So we just described about one aspect of servitorship. Well, there's two. One of them is to engage directly in hearing and chanting. Now, the second type, which is here, Kainkaram, okay, this lies in the attitude of the person performing the activity, not in the activities themselves. It's the attitude. Now, Rupa Goswami also brings out here that if you engage in the 9 activities, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu's Smaranam, it may be Kamapanam only, unless you're doing it with deep concentration, conscious that you're serving the Lord. Then it may come under Kamapanam instead of Kainkaram. So it depends on the attitude. Okay? Now, in this regard, I think it might be one of your slokas to learn. No, it's not actually. Hihayasha, that's coming up. But anyway, quoting, now then, Rupa Goswami, he quotes this verse here in the slide. Prabhupada will quote this as well, often. I just read the translation. A person acting in the service of Krishna with body, mind, and intelligence and words is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. So this is a famous verse that Rupa Goswami pulls out from the Narada Purana. Yeah? So it's a mood of tireless endeavor to serve Krishna, not with one's whole self, body, mind, and words. Yeah? That person is considered to be a liberated soul, although he's embodied. Yeah. So this is what this is doing. This kind of illustrates what it means to be a devotee in can't pronounce that, Kainkaram. Yeah. One constantly engages everything, mind, body, and words in the Lord's service. Yeah. Any questions about this? I was looking at this last night actually, and I came across this, which I thought I would include. I was looking up Kainkaram, and I came up with this. I thought it was interesting, so I thought I would include it. So work done fulfilling our body needs is called Vruti, Vruthi. I haven't heard that word before, but there you go. Work done fulfilling our bodily needs. When that work is done, according to Sastri, it's called karma. Okay? Doing karma for the benefit of society and not expecting any fruit becomes dharma, worldly dharma. When done as service to God, being absorbed in ihatasya, hiretasya, when one's activities with mind, body, and words is serving the Lord, it becomes kainkaram. Yeah? So there's differences there. Everyone follow that? A little few details there. Okay, it's just hit 12 o'clock. Okay, so let's press the pause button and we'll pick up again at 12:15. Okay, so I'll give you 15 minutes and then we get back together. Okay? So thank you, everyone. See you in a few minutes. 15 minutes to be exact. 12:15, yeah? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. They're speaking about recording is now being recorded. The 9 out of the 9 main processes of Bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, etc. This chapter is speaking about Dasyam, Sakyam, and Atmanivedanam. So now we're just speaking about the subject of Sakyam. Where it is here. Okay, where did he excuse me. Oh, here. Excuse me. I lost the slide, found it. Okay, so devotional service in friendship. This is divided, as Rupa Goswami often does. He very much analyzes and divides all aspects of devotional practice into subdivisions and subdivisions of subdivisions. So here he's describing devotional service in friendship, known as Sakyam. There's 2 aspects to this. Here, Vishvasa, a superior well-wisher, and Maitri, which is a little bit more, which is more intimate. Maitri is a friendly relationship with a peer. Okay. So the first one, again, please, if you want any questions or comments, feel free to ask. Vishvasa. Yeah. Now, this basically what it means that you've got strong faith and confidence, a bit like when the same subject to some degree of the verse we was commenting upon, Tattena Kompom Shushikshamano, by Lord Brahma. So this means to have strong, faith and confidence that the Lord is ultimately my benefactor. He is my well-wisher. Yeah, that's the summarization Prabhupada gives. It means to have strong faith, Shraddha, strong faith and confidence in the Lord as our well-wisher or benefactor. Yeah. So Prabhupada continues that someone who has this confidence that the Lord is my benefactor, they're going to give themselves to the devotional service of the Lord, following all the requirements. Yeah. It's a definition of faith, that they know that ultimately, at the end of the day, the Lord's going to take care of me if I'm engaging in his loving devotional service. But they don't serve the Lord in order to be taken care of. Yeah, that's not the principle of pure devotion. But just like a mother takes loving care of the children, so in the same way, knowing the Lord's benevolence and kindness, what do I have to fret about? The Lord will arrange all things needed or not needed for me in this life. Yeah. So this is faith. Yeah. This means that faith that one will achieve, Prabhupada explains, will achieve the platform of transcendental life. Yeah. One has this faith in the Lord. And a very nice example of this Vishvasa is given in this picture here, Draupadi. We all know the story. Yeah. Very very, very dramatic scene in the Mahabharata. I think this perhaps next to the Kurukshetra war is probably one of the most dramatic scenes is the gambling match. And in one sense, it caused the war. This attempted disrobing of Draupadi was such an adharmic thing that at that point there was no turning back from annihilation. Yeah. So millions of persons were killed because this happened. But that's another aspect. Yeah. So this is Draupadi. My dear Govinda, your promise is that your devotee will never be vanquished. I believe in that statement, and therefore, in all kinds of tribulations, I simply remember your promise, and thus I live. So this is a wonderful pastime that illustrates this, and we all know first she had one hand holding on to her sari, and Dushashan, a powerful Kshatriya, was ripping away, was tearing away her sari, and she was trying to hold on. At some point, she put two arms in the air. Hey, Govinda! Yeah. And the Lord was her protector. Yeah. So this is example of a devotee sees the Lord as a friend, but with a sense of, with a friend as her well-wisher and protector. Different than the Sakyam of the residents of Raj, that she sees the Lord as the Lord, yeah, as the Supreme Lord. It's a different type of Sakya, it's a different discussion, as in Shilbal, Madhumangal, etc. in Goloka Vrindavan, yeah. So he's our well-wisher and proprietor, okay? And interesting here, this is, Prabhupada says, I just read directly from Nectar of Devotion. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord accepts a preacher as a most dear servant. Anyone who is preaching the confidential message of the Gita to the people in general is so dear to Krishna that no one can be equal to him in human society. Does anyone notice anything about this statement? Well, actually, Prabhupada adds a twist here. He says, by preaching Krishna consciousness, the devotees become the well-wisher of the Lord. Now, normally it's the Lord who's the well-wisher of us. But Prabhupada, in his wonderful way, mentions by preaching Krishna consciousness, the devotee becomes the well-wisher of the Lord. Quite an amazing statement. Yeah. Now, Rupa Goswami, he explains that this Vishvasa has two stages. So let's look at those. What are these two stages of Vishvasa? Okay. So Shraddha, that's a preliminary faith, the simple faith for beginning to engage in devotional service. Okay, we mentioned that. So faith, the beginning, you have faith. Yeah, you've read Bhagavad Gita, you've met the devotees, you've been to the temple, and these persons have got something. These persons have got something unique. These people have got something that I'm attracted to. These persons are not mad. These people are not crazy. Yeah. You have faith to begin to engage in the activities of bhakti. Yeah. Shraddha. Koma. You have, that's beginning. Then Vishvasa properly is mature faith which develops from the practice of devotional service. Yeah. So first is Shraddha, as we know, Rupa Goswami mentions in the different stages of bhakti. Shraddha is the first stage, faith. But that faith gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah. Okay. Purnika Prabhu, yes, please. You have your hand raised.
So yes, sorry, Prabhu. So is Vishvasa only at that level of Draupadi when there's absolute Krishna will save me, or is there anything short of that?
No, that's here. This is Vishvasa, actually. So then Rupa Goswami's specifically speaking on the ingredient of Vishvasa, which is faith. So then he brings out actually those two types of faith. There is one ordinary, special, that you take up bhakti, but this Vishvasa of Draupadi is a lot deeper. Yeah, it's a lot deeper, and that comes from the first by engaging in devotion. Then over the years, things happen to you that you know the Lord is interacted in your life, and things are being arranged. So that faith, you get more and more faith, deeper and deeper faith. Yeah, mature faith. That comes after time. Oh, it may have come from a previous life as well. Yeah. Is that clear? Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much. Thank
No problem. Yeah. Okay. So very strong faith. And is a neophyte devotee who has simply developed a slight love of Godhead is certainly a prospective candidate, so the first level of Shraddha, for devotional service. When he becomes firmly fixed in such devotion, that service, that assured status becomes a confidential part of his devotional service. So it's confidential, it's a deep, you have deep, profound wisdom and insight into God or Krishna protecting you in your life. Yeah. And that propels you to go forward in your devotional life based on the benevolence and the protection that you have experienced. Then you have confidence to go further. Yeah. That's Vishvasha. Yeah. Quite a thing, Draupadi, where she put her two hands up in the air and just, complete dependent on Govinda, on the Lord. Okay. Now go to this. We mentioned. What do we mention? Yeah, here, Maitri. Okay, we just discussed Vishvasa. Now we're going to just look at Maitri. Okay. Lost a slide again. Here it is. Okay, Maitri. Someone could read this for us. You get
Sometimes. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so sometimes it is found that a pure devotee lies down in the temple of the Lord in order to serve him as a confidential friend. Such friendly behavior of a devotee may be accepted as raganuga or spontaneous, although according to regulative principles, no one can lie down in the temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This spontaneous love of Godhead may be grouped under devotional service and friendship.
All right, so this has to be understood correctly. So yeah, devotees at that level, yeah, what can we say? It's not exactly the full definition of Raganuga, but they have such an intimate, familial relationship with Krishna that they may take liberties. For example, here, lying down in a temple. Sometimes if you see pictures I was trying to find some pictures of this actually to put up. Sometimes during Rath Yatra, you see pictures of the Rath, and when it stopped at night, then all the pandas are all sleeping on the cart by Jagannath. Okay. Now, from our perspective, we should not imitate this. We should follow the rules of sadhana. Otherwise, it would be an offense. It would be an offense. Like for instance, if I think, hey, I've been serving Radha Londonish for so many years, I've dressed him so many times, I was a head pujari and this and that. So I'm going to sleep on the altar tonight. Is that okay? That would not be okay. That would from I'm a servant of the Lord. I haven't advanced to that level where I could take those liberties with the Lord. So we shouldn't misunderstand this. We should want to follow the Vidi, follow the rules and regulations, Yeah, Purnika Prabhu.
It just reminds me of a couple of things. So one thing it reminds me of in the Bhagavad Gita, I think after the universal form, Arjuna says, so many times have I sat with you, joked with you, and what did I do all those things? I didn't realize you were all this, and he gets all formal with the so then the universal form goes away. And the second point I was going to make is when they say the Raganuga means eventually following one of the Raga Atmikas, right? One of the people who have the 5 rasas.
That's the
so we're not going to get. Yeah.
Go on, continue.
Oh yes, I was saying so. Because you can never be a Raga Atmika like one of the gopis. You can only sort of try and relish something of that type. Is what I've understood that. So
we could speak about more of those details. There's a chapter called Raganuga Bhakti that's coming up. But just in
Okay.
essence, what you were saying, it's an aspect, as you're pointing out, it's an aspect of Raganuga in the familial Maitri relationship with the Lord, which the devotees who are serving Krishna in Raj, they are very familial. He's just one of them, but the best of them, which they're all attracted to. You know, so they would associate with Krishna in a very very intimate way. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. So
yeah, understood. Very good.
yeah. So, right, we understood this, so we shouldn't misunderstand this. As kind of as Portico Shoy brought up this term hybrid. Okay. So as though I mentioned that I wouldn't sleep on the altar, there may be some things that I may do as a Pujari who kind of moves in that relationship with the Lord on the altar in ways that other devotees perhaps won't. You know, the things I might do on the altar, you know, the details I may do, you know, adjusting Radharani's hair or things like that, or being really close to the Lord physically. You could understand that as from one perspective, that's more of an aspect of Maitri, from one point of view of looking at it. Not that I'm on a stage of Raganuga, spontaneous practice, but just of being more familiar with the Lord in his Atra Vigra form. And naturally, Pujaris are. They're more familiar with the Lord from a close perspective, from the Lord who's present in the form of Atra Murti. Yeah, but not in a complete sense that we can take liberties with the Lord and lie down and sleep on the altar. Okay. All right. So Maitri. So then we have Atmani Vedanam. Okay. So someone could read this for us from the 11th canto. Atmani Vedanam.
A person,
Once. Go ahead.
a person who has completely surrendered unto me and has completely given up all other activities is protected by me personally, both in this life and in the next. In other words, I wish to help him because I wish to help him become more and more advanced in spiritual life. Such a person is to be understood as having already achieved sarshti, having equal opulences with the Supreme. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29-34.
Yeah, so there's examples of these which comes up in latter chapters of devotees who exemplify, for example, surrendering everything to the Lord. And Pali Maharaj is the example given. But for here, surrendering everything to the Lord, this is how it is described. Atmanivedanam. Yeah. I'll just read this here from Nectar Devotion directly. This self-surrender is called Atmanivedanam. According to different authorities, self is differently defined. Self is sometimes considered to refer to the spirit self or soul, and self is sometimes considered to refer to the mind or the body. Full self-surrender, therefore, means not only surrendering one's self as a spirit soul, but also surrendering one's mind and body to the service of the Lord. Okay, so I'll ask you a question now. Is this possible if you have a family, etc.? Is this only possible for brahmacharis or sannyasis, this full self-surrender, one's mind, body, in the service of the Lord? Is it possible for those who are married? Prabhu, have your...
Well, yeah, I would assume that it is possible because you can take everything around you and use it for the Lord. So including your family. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And anybody else would like to comment on this? Is it possible?
I was going to say, Prabhupada said impossible is a word in the Fool's Dictionary. So
I guess in one sense, even me asking the question means I'm kind of suggesting that it is possible. That's why I'm asking the question, you know. And here's something from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who really illustrates this point of this surrendering everything to the Lord. And he had 12 children, I think, you know. So he mentions, Prabhupada here, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung a nice song in this connection. While offering himself as a fully surrendered soul, he says, my mind, my household affairs, okay, my household affairs. So think of everything, what that involves. Household affairs, it means shopping, it means this, it means seeing grandma. My household affairs, my body, whatever is in my possession, my dear Lord, I offer to you for your service. Now you can do with them as you like. You're the supreme possessor of everything. If you like, you can kill me. If you like, you can give me protection. All authority belongs to you. I have nothing to claim as my own. This house is yours. You may give or you may take away. It all belongs to you. Yeah. I might have said this here before, but the example of I saw there was a hurricane in the USA. I often give this example, so forgive me if you heard me say it before. And as they managed to film this man who was in a bunker, and he came out with the bunker, which is underneath the house. Okay, so he came out when the sirens were over, and there's no house left. There is nothing above his bunker. The house doesn't exist anymore. There's a big house as well. The whole thing is flattened. So he comes out. He looks left. He looks right. He puts his arms in the air and he says, God gives and God takes away. I thought that was a pretty good God conscious reaction, you know. And then there's, you see these other videos of persons crying, my house, my whole life is in the house. I'm lost. They're hysterical. The whole life is in their house. But this man, God gives away. God takes away. So it could be say that's an example. Here, my Lord, you can do what you like. But the point is, you're offering it, everything. This house, let me offer it to you. It is now yours, my Lord. Yeah. And a prayer from Yamanujacharya says as well, my dear Lord, I may be living with somebody as a human being or a demigod, but whatever mode of life, I do not mind. Because these bodies are simply byproducts of the three modes of material nature. And I, who am in possession of these bodies, am surrendering my life to you. Okay? And here Prabhupada says, Srila Rupa Goswami says that devotional service in friendship and devotional service in self-surrender are two difficult processes. Okay? So it's something to develop as we're going forward in devotional service. Yeah, it takes ardent practice and development of faith, and continuing reading from Prabhupada directly. Therefore, such relationships with the Lord can very rarely be seen. Only for the advanced devotees are these two processes easily executed. The purport is that it is very rare to see surrender which is mixed with such sincere ecstatic devotion. One must give himself completely to the will of the Lord. Okay? So again, this point we're bringing out. So we're apprentices to be pure devotees. This is how a pure devotee thinks when he's got a house and he's got family affairs to deal with, etc. He has such devotion that he's actually sincerely offering it. It's not just external. He's offering it to the Lord, So we can try and emulate that type of meditation, Any questions on this? So surrendering everything to the Lord. Atma Nivedanam. Okay. Okay, a bit more simpler. Offering a favorite article. All right. It says two aspects: to offer the Lord our own favorite article, and to offer the Lord His favorite article. Interesting there. So, if you got a new iPhone, you can you can offer it to the Lord. You can offer it to the temple. So, any questions on this or any insights into this? Your favorite article to the Lord? I guess because you can't offer things that that you've used yourself. You can't offer if you've got a favorite jumper. You can't offer, or the Lord's not going to wear it anyway on the altar. If you've got a favorite pair of shoes, you can't offer that to the Lord. Anyone got any ideas what Rupa Goswami Prabhupada might be? What, for example, might that be, practically speaking? Your favorite article to the Lord?
When
Go on,
His
Prashant.
Holiness, I was with His Holiness Banu Maharaj last year here, and
Yeah.
someone asked him. It was about he was talking about deity worship, and someone was asking him, "Can we offer things like pizza, pasta, etc. to the Lord?" Then he told by quoting this from Nectar of Devotion that if it is dear to you, if it's favorite to you, why not?
Okay. Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat tuhoshi dadashi, yat. Whatever you do, whatever you offer, yeah, you may. So Frank, okay, thank you, Butcher. Yeah, to offer something which you like, something you can make that as an offering to the Lord. Yes, thank you. Yeah, but also it also says to offer the Lord His favorite article. So we might want to be conscious of that. That the Lord likes rasgulas. He likes sandesh. He likes burfi as well. So you can make those and offer it to the Lord. Yeah. So let's read the verse here. Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, my dear friend, if someone offers me the best thing in his possession, or anything which is very pleasing to him, he will be eternally benefited. Okay. And I guess a good thing that everyone, a favorite thing that most people have is money. That you can always offer that to Krishna. Yeah. Some of it, don't worry. Pay the bills, take care of what you have to do. But also offer some to Krishna. That's the best thing we have in our possession, most people, isn't it? My bank balance. Give it to Krishna. See what happens. Okay. Let's move on. We've got performing all endeavors for Krishna. For example, page 99, if you have the book with you, the hardback book. I'm going to just move the page. Page 99. For example, a devotee who has a great establishment or factory may offer the fruits of such a material possession for the service of the Lord. This is Prabhupada directly, yeah. And Prabhupada would often tell rich, well-to-do businessmen that he met, he would often chide them for being a thief sometimes. You are a thief. You should give all your business to Krishna. Prabhupada would often challenge, from Prabhupada's very deep, deep faith, he would challenge such persons and they would get very uncomfortable having to give away their business to Prabhupada. Yeah. Okay, let me read a bit from Prabhupada here. In the Narada Pancharatra, there is a statement of how one can act in all spheres of life for the satisfaction of the Lord. It is stated there that the person who is actually in devotional service must be engaged in all kinds of activities, those prescribed in the revealed scriptures, and also those which are accepted for a livelihood. In other words, not only should a devotee engage himself in the prescribed duties of devotional service, which are mentioned in the revealed scripture, but he should also perform the duties of his practical life in Krishna consciousness. Then he says, for example, a devotee who has a great establishment or factory may offer the fruits of such a material possession for the service of the Lord. Yeah. And we do have devotees throughout the world who are very successful materially, and their whole business profits, everything over and above maintaining, goes towards the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. Yeah. That's like Indradurma Swami Maharaj. He does these tours, in Poland and different places in the world, and the paraphernalia that he has and the whole arrangement of moving the paraphernalia and buying the whole stage and everything, it's all from donations, and all the festivals are free. There's also, there's one well-known devotee part of the GBC, Gopal Bhatta, if I got the name right. He's has a very successful business, and his business is solely and wholly for funding the Sankirtan movement. It's not to increase a big house for himself, or not to get this or that, or a yacht or something like this. He's got his business, and the solely focus of the business is to fund the spreading of Krishna consciousness. So yeah, all endeavors to please. That's quite exemplary. Yeah, Purnika Prabhu.
So would you say that that person is a pure devotee then, because he's completely surrendering everything?
Could be, yeah. Hard to say. It doesn't mean if someone's not doing that they're not a pure devotee as well. You have to, yeah. But he's definitely a very, very, yeah, you could say he's a very, very faithful devotee. Definitely a pure devotee of, yeah, I would say a pure devotee. What level of pure devotion and this and that, and I wouldn't like to say. But it doesn't mean those who are not able to do that, or particular circumstances may not be doing that. That is difficult. Yeah, they may have other obligations. They may be running a business, and it may be a family business. So there's brothers and others who also have to have a cut of the profits, you know. But you get the main point here. Perhaps just bring out all endeavors for pleasing Krishna. Yeah.
I've got another really silly question. It's
But
very
it's not a
stupid.
silly question. Go on.
I've got so I've got a friend who he's basically an expert. Obviously, he's an expert gambler. So I know obviously one of the regulative principles is you don't gamble, but he basically he profits from playing poker basically. So if he were to do that for Krishna, could he never become a pure devotee, or could he? I mean, would that be sinful, or how do we work that one?
Well, Prabhupada said that even a drunkard, if he drinks a bottle of wine and says the taste is Krishna, then he can become Krishna conscious. So that's quite a broad perspective at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he's making money on poker and he gives it to Krishna, yeah, somebody's going to get purified somewhere down along the line. Yeah. That's why, but better that he gives it directly to Krishna rather than he gives it to a devotee, because that money is a bit kind of hot to handle. So you want to make sure it all goes to Krishna, goes to Krishna directly, because Krishna can burn up all the pup easily.
Yeah.
And it can be utilized. Yeah. So yeah, you could perhaps have a word with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. A professional gambler, do it? Well, there you go. Anyway, let's move on. Being a surrendered soul. Okay, so this comes up again. So will come up again. So, my dear Lord, a person who has surrendered himself unto you, who is in firm conviction that he is yours, and who actually acts in that way. So, who actually acts in that way by his body, mind, and words, can actually relish transcendental bliss. Okay, so this is what it means to be a surrendered soul. Okay, you actually acted in such a way. Yeah. That person will experience bhav, or transcendental emotion, transcendental bliss. Yeah, that's from the Hari Bhakti Vilas. And then finally in this chapter, Prabhupada has introduced this to our ISKCON movement. We're all familiar with Tulsi. We kind of take it for granted, but Prabhupada could have easily not have introduced it into our morning program, but he has. And therefore, all over the devotees all over the world are very dear. Tulsi is very dear to the Vaishnavas, So I'll just read here. The Rupa Goswami, it's come from Rupa Goswami, from his Nectar of Devotion, one of the aspects of sadhana bhakti. Yeah. Let me offer my, this is from the Skanda Purana, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Tulsi tree, which can immediately vanquish volumes of sinful activities. Simply by seeing or touching this tree, one can become relieved from all distresses and diseases. Okay? Simply by offering obeisances to and pouring water on the Tulsi tree, one can become freed from the fear of being sent to the court of Yamaraj, the king of death who punishes the sinful. If someone sows a Tulsi tree somewhere, certainly he becomes devoted to Lord Krishna. And when the Tulsi tree leaves are offered in devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna, there is the full development of love of Godhead. Okay? I read that again. And when the Tulsi leaves are offered in devotion to the lotus feet of Krishna, there is a full development of love of Godhead. Okay. So I'm still waiting for that part, because when I dress Krishna, one of the last things you do, one of the last things I do when I dress Krishna, we have Tulsi with sandalwood, and normally you see I take the Tulsi and put it in sandalwood and decorate Krishna's lotus feet, and that's going on normally at the last minute when the conch is blowing. Then the pujari is behind the curtain putting the Tulsi leaves on the lotus feet. So I'm still waiting for this full development of love of God. Hopefully it's on its way at some point in some life. Okay. All right. Let me read a bit more from Prabhupada. Any questions or comments on this Tulsi? Please feel free to ask. We have beautiful Tulsi at the moment. Those who haven't, you can go upstairs on the roof of our temple. And the lady who's taking care of Tulsi is doing a wonderful service. I keep on meaning to see her and thank her for taking such wonderful care of Tulsi. Yeah. Very healthy, you know. Prabhupada says, in India, all Hindus, even those not belonging to the Vaishnava group, okay, take special care of the Tulsi tree. Even in great cities where it is very difficult to keep a Tulsi tree, people are very fond of carefully keeping this plant. They water it and offer obeisances to it, because worship of the Tulsi tree is very important in devotional service. And yeah, you see that in India. Those who have been, or some of you come from India, so you know very well. But those of us not, and you've been to India, you see that. And so mostly, especially in West Bengal, Mayapur area, and all the villages, the Hindu villages, anyway, at least, most of them will have, a lot of them will have they have in the front yard, there's a special built structure just for the Tulsi plant. Yeah. So Skanda Purana, Tulsi is auspicious in all respects. Again, simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing down before, simply by hearing about, or simply by sowing this tree, planting this tree, there is always auspiciousness. Anyone who comes in touch with the Tulsi tree in the above mentioned ways lives eternally in the Vaikuntha world. Hari Hari Bol. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So that completes chapter 11. Now, we could go to chapter 12, but what I think we could do, I did say we would stop a little bit earlier, so perhaps it might be an appropriate place to stop, because we completed the chapter and it's 5 to 1. So perhaps Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, everyone. All right, so a bit of a istagosti, so to speak, of how we're all doing as far as completing your back to Sastri studies. Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate everyone here. As you know, when the first class we had nearly a year ago, there was twice as many devotees were there. I think we had nearly 30 devotees. And everyone here has got through to this now, the